Today I want to introduce you to a game called Paladins, a title that I first heard of when the game went into early access on Steam last year. Now, if you want to go ahead and give this game a try yourself as well for free, there is a link down below in the description of the video that will take you to the official website. And on that note, for transparency's sake, I do also want to let you know that indeed this is a sponsored video by the developers of Paladins, but of course, I'm going to be giving you my honest opinion on the game, and more importantly, answer the question on whether or not this is a better title than Overwatch, a game that I absolutely adore. Now, real quick as well, as you may have already noticed, my voice is a little bit off. I indeed do have a cold, so if I sound to you like a boy going through puberty, I apologize. There's not a whole lot I can do about it. Alright, so when Paladins first went into early access, it was met with a ton of negativity. At the time, Overwatch was just released for a couple of months, and this game is most definitely participating in the exact same genre. So Overwatch was just released a couple of months prior, Paladins came out, and a lot of the heroes as well as a lot of the objectives in-game seemed very similar, so people immediately wrote it off. Now, after trying this game out for a couple of hours, I actually have to tell you, this game does very little wrong, and it's actually super enjoyable. Alright, so let's address the elephant in the room. So each and every one of the champions that are available in the game do indeed have got a couple of different abilities, and after a while they will charge up their ultimate, at which point they can go ahead and use it and do either more damage or do more healing, or, you know, do whatever they do best a little bit stronger. Now, I'll be the first to admit as well that some of these heroes do seem most definitely very familiar to the ones in Overwatch. For example, we have none other than Victor right here. Now, Victor is going to be your default assault kind of class. If you have a quick look at his skills, you've got an assault rifle right here that fires rounds. He's got an iron sight as well that looks down the barrel of his rifle, that gains improved accuracy, but also makes him move a little bit slower. He can lower his weapon and start running just in the exact same way as Soldier 76 can. Instead of shooting a rocket, however, he's got a frag grenade, and then on top of that, he's got a barrage that brings up his targeting binoculars as his ultimate ability. Click on enemy players to guide an artillery shell, dealing 1400 damage to their location. Now, we'll talk about whether or not this is an issue in just a little bit. I want to show you a few more heroes before we jump into that part of this video. For example, we've also got one of the heroes that I personally really enjoy playing, known as Andraxis, as he so nicely introduces right there. He's got a revolver, a 6-shot revolver that deals damage. He's got Nether Step, quickly dash forward in any direction, and he's got a cursed arm right here at the bottom as well to begin flying for 4 seconds. So while this guy looks a lot like Reaper, he's got a rifle very similarly right here to McCree, as well as like the alternate attack here as well that fires a burst of 3 rounds. Then he's sort of got the dash, I guess, from Tracer, and then he's also got, I guess, somewhat of the flying of Farah too. So this guy may also have a few cues of some of the Overwatch heroes. But few others of the game are indeed completely unique and have nothing in common to the ones of Overwatch whatsoever. For example, we have none other than Grover right here. First off, he's quite literally a walking tree with an axe, which kind of hurts my soul. I mean, I don't really know exactly why a tree would ever use an axe, but regardless, he's got a throwing axe, hurl your axe for 400 damage. He's got a crippling throw as well. You can throw a fine. He's got a passive heal here too, and he's got Whirlwind, rapidly heal nearby allies for 2500 health per second for 5 seconds. Now, even if some of the heroes seem very similar to the ones of a game like it, is that really something you can hold against said game? I mean, if we think about it, right, for just a little bit, if you are a game developer and you work on a title for many years, of course you're going to be looking at similar games in the same genre, right? I mean, look at, for example, Blizzard games. I'm a massive fanboy for Blizzard games, right? I absolutely adore their titles. But of course, when World of Warcraft was being produced, they were most definitely looking at styling cues from EverQuest, and we're looking at what that game did very well. Now, with that, of course, there are, limits. This game has got a lot more similarities to Overwatch than just simply the heroes, but I don't think the similarity in heroes should be really held against it. Now, one of the things you may have noticed while I was going over the different tabs right here is that we've got overview, customize, cards, loadouts, as well as skills. And that's one of the things I really think this game does very well, is that you can actually customize and optimize the characters for your playstyle quite well. Compared to Overwatch, one of the things that is a crucial difference is that you cannot switch out of heroes when the game has already begun. So that does mean that you need to customize your heroes accordingly. Now, first off, we can of course aesthetically also changed up our hero. So for example, if I wanted to get you know, this hero right here known as Shaolin, a different color headband, I could go ahead and either spend the real currency on it right here, the crystals, or use gold instead. So say for example, I really want this charisma headband, I can go ahead and unlock it just like that and basically equip it on this character. And I actually quite like the idea of it because I can change up, you know, the aesthetic of my hero just like that. For example, if you want to go full pink today, let's go full pink today.
I will cherish.
He will cherish it. That's great. You can actually like customize each and every one of the parts, I suppose, of the hero. So of course, since he is indeed going to be the bow and arrow kind of guy, you know, you can customize his bow as well as pretty much everything that there is available. Next up, I want to talk about the load-ups, and I'm not gonna lie, I actually really like this system. I think this is one of the main things that this game will indeed set apart from its direct competition. So the loadouts are basically a card-based system that allows you to customize your character to your liking. So if I click on one right here, I can indeed create one. Let's call it Loco. I mean, that's a very original name right there. Regardless, I've got 5 different card slots right here to fill. And I can fill these cards with different, or I can fill these slots rather with different cards. Now, as you can see, some of these are indeed locked. I can go ahead and unlock some of these if I absolutely want to. But you can basically customize the playstyle of your character in the way that you enjoy the most. So say, for example, I want to gain additional movement speed. I can click on this card right here. And you can see, instead of me having like a crazy amount of rarity, I also can increase the amount of movement speed by clicking the little plus or minus sign right there below the card. Now in total, I can fill up to 12 of these points here. As you may have already noticed, I can't just go like, you know, 60% additional movement speed. That would be a little bit ridiculous. But regardless, I can indeed fill up each and every one of those slots to try and customize the character to my liking. Now, some of these are indeed locked, and you do need a currency right here to craft that card. So say, for example, I want to get the Master Archer number 1 here, reduce the cooldown of Planted by 1. I can craft that card. That will now also unlock it for me, and that of course is going to be something that you need to keep in mind here as well, because since this is a free-to-play title, they need to earn their money one way or another. But it seems like most of these things are not like super impactful. They just allow you to customize your character a little bit more to your liking. So let me go ahead and set up something that I think looks cool. So after playing a few games with Shaolin so far, I really enjoyed the planted ability right here. Plant yourself in place, becoming stationary for a couple of seconds. While planted, your longbow draw time is 200% faster and you fire continuously. Now you can notice normally the cooldown right here is 18 seconds. But with my Master Archer loadout that I did just create, I decided to focus a lot on indeed increasing the cooldown right here, or decreasing the cooldown rather, and basically making myself a little bit stronger for that ability particularly. Now of course, if you enjoy another playstyle, you can indeed adjust it accordingly, but I really do like this system, although it will be a little tricky to balance and to make sure that none of these cards will become stupidly overpowered. Next up, I want to have a look at the store, where you can buy a bunch of different things. First off, the main currency is indeed the crystals right here. Now, you can indeed spend some money on getting some actual crystals here. Most of it will indeed be used to unlock more of those cards, as well as more and more of the items that are available. For example, you can buy MVP poses, you can buy some sprays here as well if you really wanted to. But a lot of the items are indeed unlocked in these chests. And the chests are rather interesting. So there's 3 different ones. First off, we've got the Radiant chest right here. Contains cards, cosmetics, as well as gold. And I've got 17 still remaining. If I show you what it looks like just to open one, you can see that indeed they do give you a bunch of stuff. So that's pretty cool. Apparently I did just unlock one of the abilities right here, as well as a few of the cards that are indeed available. If you have a look at the Colossal chest, it is indeed gonna cost me a little bit to go ahead and get that one. But indeed, you can also open that one up to get some more of the cosmetics. And apparently, I did just get the Dread Hunter's Maul here, an epic weapon, which is pretty awesome. Then last but not least, we got the Flare Chest, probably the least exciting one in my opinion. But regardless, just for this video, contains emotes as well as poses. You can spend 50 of the crystals on that as well. And that will unlock the chest, and therefore unlock you some more stuff. So yeah, I got a MVP pose. I guess I'm really happy now. Anyway, the store, in my initial impressions at the very least, seems fair enough. I mean, you can't necessarily buy power for your characters. Your champions won't become significantly stronger when you do indeed spend money on them, which is, you know, of course, one of the biggest gripes that I've got a lot about free-to-play titles. And of course, I quite like the chest system. I mean, I've said that many times before in other games as well. In particular in free-to-play titles, when you're trying to unlock more cosmetics, I think this is probably one of the best ways you can do it. In particular, like this colossal chest, it does cost you a little bit of money, but you have the chance at getting some really cool loot. So I gotta be honest, I actually really like this system, and considering that this title is 100% free to install and free to play, and you can most definitely be competitive as well while being free to play, I don't really have anything against it. I think it's pretty cool. Okay, next up, it's time for some gameplay. And you know what? Now that we got this beautiful pink outfit on Shalin, it's time to see if we can make him work. We got first off the longbow, a longbow that draws back an arrow and releases it for a bunch of damage. We got the impaler arrow, replaces your arrow with an impaler arrow that knocks enemies back and stuns them for 1 second. We got withdrawal on the F ability, leap backwards and enter stealth for 2 seconds, leaving a mirage at your original location for 3.5 seconds. We got planted, the ability that I explained earlier that I really like, and the one that, you know, we specialized our loadout in. We got planted right here, plant yourself in place, become stationary, but shoot a whole lot of arrows. And then my ultimate is called Heat Haze. Enter stealth and gain 30% movement speed for 8 seconds. While active, you draw your bow 50% faster and leave a mirage behind for every 2 seconds, or for 2 seconds rather, each time you fire. Now, there are a couple of different play modes available. I'm gonna go ahead and play the default, the standard one called Siege. Capture an objective and push a payload. Alrighty, so here we go. I've locked in Shalin after we found a match after only a few seconds. And we can indeed see on this loading screen what the opposing heroes are that we are going up against as well. And that is pretty important because we can do a little bit more customization as soon as the game loads up. So, first off, you can choose your legendary card. Now, I've only got one unlocked, but you can use this to change up your character a little bit more. I'm gonna go with Recurve, draw your bow 15% faster, and then I'm gonna select Master Archer because that's the one that we created, right? So you gotta keep in mind here, if you've got a couple of different ones, depending on what your opponents are playing as well as your allies, you may want to change up your loadout. Next up, also one of the things that is in this game, because it's still based off of a MOBA concept, I suppose, is indeed an item shop. So there are 16 items in total. You can pick only 4 of those at once. I really do like kill to heal. Getting a kill or elimination heals you for 300 health, which is quite a nice amount, in particular since you can upgrade it twice as well. One other unique thing to this game is indeed that it does have a mounting system, which is pretty awesome, not gonna lie. And actually, I think I've played for, well, I don't know exactly, I think I played about 3-4 hours or so far. I haven't seen this map before. Very interesting. Now, this is indeed a capture point based map. That does mean that we have to try and get this capture point right here in the center. This, by the way, is my Q ability that I was talking about earlier. Looks like they've got a sniper. One thing to keep in mind here is that there are no healing packs on the map. Instead, once you are out of combat for a few seconds, you will start regenerating life automatically, which is very nice. Now, I'm trying to get her right there. In general, there seems to be quite a lot of HP in this game. Oh, wow. You plant down for just a little bit. Regardless, though, heroes do have quite a lot of HP here. Much more than you see in some of the other titles. And while I am gonna have to get on out of there, and I, by the way, did put up a mirage over there, I think we'll just wait for just a little bit until my allies have arrived once again. Now, every single time you die, you come back on that horse, which is awesome. But I'm not really a frontliner, right? I'm not really one to stand on the objective and capture the very first point. So both of the teams are currently... both of the teams are currently trying to... Actually, this crate right here is apparently a little buggy. Interesting. Regardless, both of the teams are trying to fight into that one objective. And actually, there's some very long-range combat compared to some of the other maps. Okay, there we go. Now, we are, of course, playing at the lowest of lowest level, by the way. which is to be expected. I do have my ultimate available now. Got her. Very nice. And you can see every single time I kill someone or I get an elimination like that, right? We do indeed... Ooh. There we go. That's pretty nice. We do indeed get a bunch of HP back as well. On top of that, there are, of course, healers. I don't really want to activate my ulti here, though. My ultimate is really good to get out of trouble.
That was a good shot.
Ooh, we did a lot of damage there, but none of them actually got taken care of. Well, there we go. Very nice. So I can indeed push myself backwards like that as well, which is quite nice. And we managed to push it all the way to the objective. Now what that means is that first off we unlocked 1 point for capturing the objective. The second point we unlocked from delivering the payload as well. If the enemies were able to actually defend against the aggression, that would have immediately meant that they managed to get a point as well. And the way they would defend it is just by simply, you know, surviving until the very end. Next up, I'm also going to pick up the Nimble right here, as well as Haven, which I really quite like too. It basically allows me to take a little bit less damage. And then I guess I could go for... it doesn't really matter. I guess I don't actually know how Deft Hand works on this character. Let's give that a try. Some additional reload speed. I don't know if that counts for every arrow. Maybe it does. Regardless, it's time to go for the second round as well. So this is on the same map. We are just simply once again forced to get the objective. If we manage to do so and we deliver it in this round, we would actually win. Now every round takes a couple of minutes. In total, of course, there can be between 2 and 4. Because you can earn either 1 or 2 points every single match. Oh god. Oh my god. That must have been an ultimate right there. That was sick. Oh, actually, no, I think it was just simply... No, it was... Okay, no, it was indeed the ultimate. I was gonna say, I'm not entirely sure what that was. Regardless, could have used my own ulti there. But it's time for me to get back into the battle. Now, one thing that I did notice while playing this for a while now, right? Is that a lot of these characters actually have got a substantial amount of HP. In particular compared to... Okay, well... Alright, fine. I'll go ahead and set up my ulti. Oh, man. In particular compared to some other heroes in the game, or some other games in this genre, there is actually, like, overall, there's just simply a ton of HP on every single available character. Like, characters don't really die very quickly. It's either like a lack of damage, I suppose, or, you know, just the fact that enemies don't really die very easily either. It's quite nice, though. Like, if you compare your HP to a tank, the HP is still pretty comparable. So that means that you don't quite have like the differences to, for example, like Tracer and Reinhardt or whatever in Overwatch. Because, you know, I don't know exactly what Reinhardt is at, but I know that Tracer can die if you look at her twice. They most definitely are taking a lot of damage from us, which is nice. Is he still there? Anyway, I really like the customization though, because I like their Q ability a lot, right? But maybe you don't. Maybe you're a lot more for the shade ability with the Mirage right there. Look, that's me. Maybe that's your thing, right? Maybe you want to be faster. You can change up your abilities like that too. Oh god. And that's nice, because while it's really difficult to balance and it may very well be like overpowered setups, it's a surprisingly nice system, because I feel like sometimes that depth misses a little bit in Overwatch, which focuses on a lot of hero switching instead, of course. Which also does have its... Ooh, I'm trying to get her sniper. Which also does, of course, have its charm. But I quite like this idea of having a little bit more customization on each and every one of the heroes, so you can play it according to how you enjoy it. There we go. Very nice. But of course, that's mostly personal preference. I can see the... I can see the you know, reason why they chose it for Overwatch, because of course that game is based around a lot on hero switches. Or in this game, that's not the case. Look, he's sniping one of my copies. But you know, like in this game, it may very well be mandatory as well, considering you cannot change up your hero in the middle of a game, right? You need that customization, and I think because of that, you may very well need the item shop too, just to make things a little bit easier. Now notice right here, we've got 20 seconds remaining. There is indeed going to be overtime as well if the opposing heroes manage to get close to the objective. Oh, I thought he was going to come around the corner. Oh, God. So much damage all of a sudden. Now, if you, by the way, fire as well, you lose the regeneration of your HP. So I'm just going to sit back here for just a little bit. There is indeed overtime right now. Dying is in general a bad idea. Once again, they are coming back in. We just need to shoo them away. Turtle Man right there has got a hook as well, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And they're actually pushing quite nicely, but we managed to defend it here with the overtime running out and the opposing heroes not being close enough to the objective. And we're actually on a 13-player killing streak, which is awesome. Now, I was running a little low there, so I'll pick up the tier 2 of my kill to heal, which should be fine. And that basically runs me out of credits here until I die and, you know, I get back to the objective. Regardless, though, this should be the final objective for us. But you can see it, right? There's quite a lot of customization and quite a lot of skill involved. And it plays very, very well. There's very little to critique on. I mean, it plays smoothly. There's a bunch of different game modes. There is a competitive ladder. Game modes are games rather are found in just a couple of seconds. You can group up with teammates very, very easily. And I mean, there's really nothing wrong with the game. It's just that the competition is just so very harsh. But I'll cover that in just a little bit here as well after this match has ended. But it plays so smooth. Like, every single character I've played so far is fun. They got their unique concepts. Maybe some abilities are carryover from other games as well. Who really cares? I think it's nice. Oh god, I'm standing still. Oh, that's such a risk. My Q ability is a risk. Now, if we manage to capture the objective, by the way, we of course get a point here. So I'm actually gonna jump down into the circle now too, because that captures it a little bit faster. We are 37 or yeah, there we go, 40% right now. Picking up a ton of kills. I don't want to leave the circle. Get in the circle, dude. There you go. Good job. 63%. If we manage to capture it, that means we have won the game. And with us picking up a lot of these heroes quite easily, I think it's a good idea. Well, I guess I'll go ulti, but that's me a couple of times. Or actually, no, that's just me a single time in stealth on the objective. But indeed, we have obtained the victory. Now, apparently, I did not quite get to play the game, sadly, or it's called the top play. Not quite the same thing, but regardless, this screen, by the way, seems a little bit strange. I mean, none of the players that I've ever seen win this actually seem to go for headshots or anything along the lines. I'm not sure if this is accurate. Regardless, though, it's definitely a nice concept. Maybe a little less exciting than the one in Overwatch, but it still works out just fine. And that brings us to the conclusion of this video. Why would you want to play Paladins instead of Overwatch, or why would you want to play any of the other games in this genre? Now, I've played this game for a bunch of hours right now, right? And there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, I enjoy it a lot. The heroes are a lot of fun. While there may be some overlap with some other games, it's besides the point. The game runs well. It performs on pretty much every single system I can imagine. There are fully fleshed out graphic settings, and it runs super smoothly. Here's the thing, though. A game like Paladins, or a game like Team Fortress, or Overwatch, or Battleborn, or any other game in the genre is not really meant to be played as a single-player experience, right? I think that's one of the main things that you have to keep in mind. Any of these games become significantly more fun when you are playing with friends. Now, when it comes to this genre of game, all of my friends play Overwatch. All of my personal friends, at the very least, play Overwatch. Now, that's not to say that if one of them would say, hey, Lowko, do you want to go ahead and play Paladins? I would say no, because this game is very fun. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with it, right? It's just that moving over to an entirely different game in the same genre is very difficult. It's the same sense that, you know, a League of Legends player will more than likely not switch over to Dota 2, or, you know, a Battlefield player will not necessarily be playing Call of Duty just because they have their own preferences and the games that they are already invested in. And I feel like the fact that Paladins came out a couple of months after the release of Overwatch put them in a bit of a tricky position, but it's nothing to take away from the game itself. It works very well, and I really cannot come up with a single reason why you wouldn't want to play it. It's very fun. Now, of course, that's not to say that you can't enjoy this game as a single player experience. It's totally viable, but I personally think it's a lot more fun when you do get to play with a couple of friends and just simply hang out in voice chat and, you know, just simply play some games. I mean, that's really where these games shine. So Paladins, definitely super enjoyable, really nothing to complain about. And one of the massive advantages that it does have over Overwatch is that it's free. I mean, you can play this game without spending a dime and still have a ton of fun, right? I mean, that's basically it. However, for me personally, I will be sticking with Overwatch because that's what my friends play. I do not think that there is enough incentive to switch from one game in the genre to another, unless you're just merely curious and you want to check out what the hype is all about, which I completely understand, because it's really good. One of my personal critiques, I suppose, for this game would be the fact that I know very little about each and every one of the characters. I think Overwatch does that significantly better, where every single character has got backstory. Pretty much, you know, at least a lot of them have got cinematics and whatnot, and more are being released. There are comics, there's a lot of lore to read up on online as well, and all things considered, I just simply know a lot more about each and every one of the characters, and I'm more like emotionally invested. Whereas, for example, I mean,
Inara.
Sure, I mean, Inara, you're awesome, but I know nothing about you. I don't quite understand who you are, what you are, and why I would want to play you. Whereas, like, for example, someone says Zarya to me, I immediately, you know, recognize the Russian accent. I will immediately be able to tell you about weightlifting competitions and all kinds of other stuff about the Omnic crisis, right? And I feel like that is something that Paladins is lacking, at the very least on like an emotional level. But other than that, you know, the game plays well, it's a lot of fun, and I definitely would recommend it if you are looking for something like this to play with a bunch of friends. Now, on that note, there is also a skin giveaway going on with this video. In case you are interested, I'll leave the Gleam giveaway down below in the description of this video, a link to it. I'll also go ahead and post a comment down below where you can participate in the giveaway, and you may very well end up winning a bunch of things for Paladins in game, which is awesome. But other than that, I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button down below. And if you want to see more, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get a notification as soon as I upload more. And while you're at it, you can also follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Links are down below. I want to thank you very much so for watching. Have an amazing day. Do not forget to smile, alright? And I will see you in the next one.